Viewers, just 3 days ago, Trump treated UK Prime Minister Starmer, French President Macron, and of course Pakistan Prime Minister Sharif with utter contempt. It was pure bullying with an attempt to make these leaders look weak, diminished, small. They were all lined up on stage and summoned by Trump to sing his praises. You will remember those pictures. They came from Sharm el-Sheikh. Prime Minister Modi decided to stay away from this cheerleading squad despite having been invited to Sharm el-Sheikh for the Gaza peace talks. Trump couldn't have failed to take note of Modi's absence. And now he's getting back. He's so desperate to get a chance to upstage Modi, like he has upstaged other world leaders, that he's cooking up facts in the hope of making him look weak. After his claims about stopping the India-Pakistan war, Donald Trump now claims Prime Minister Modi told him that India would stop buying oil from Russia, suggesting a surrender by Modi to Trump's diktats. Remember, Trump and all his colleagues in government have been threatening Modi and India with stopping the purchase of Russian oil. Otherwise, they've said you risk sanctions, more sanctions. Viewers, now Trump says Modi has agreed. Listen.
He's assured me there will be no oil purchased from Russia. I don't know, maybe that's a breaking story. Can I say that? Would you say? There will be no oil. He's not buying his oil from Russia. It started. You know, you can't do it immediately. It's a little bit of a process. But the process is going to be over with soon.
Viewers, that claim might grab headlines, but it's also false. It's a lie. And the facts tell that. Let's break down the facts for you, viewers. And on this show, I always emphasize the facts so you can get closer to the truth. First, viewers, first of all, the Ministry of External Affairs has come out and clearly said, quote, "We are not aware of any conversation between the two leaders today." Trump had mentioned that Modi had told him today, that is, viewers, our early morning, that India will no longer be purchasing Russian oil. The MEA says to safeguard the interests of the Indian consumer in a volatile energy scenario, our import policies are guided entirely by this objective. What objective? To put India first. Listen into this, viewers.
See, on the issue of energy sourcing, we have made a statement. This was put out in the morning today. We would request you to look at that particular statement for the questions that you have. On the question of whether there was a conversation or a telephone call between Prime Minister Modi and President Trump, I am not aware of any conversation yesterday between the two leaders.
Viewers, it's very clear. India has clarified, the government has clarified. In short, the message is that India buys oil based on national and consumer interests, purely on those two aspects. Now let's look at the data. The data is the best answer to Trump's lies. Before the Ukraine war, let me jog your memory. Russian oil made up barely 0.2% of India's imports, viewers. Just 0.2%, bear that number in mind. After 2022, so after the war begins, that number jumps to 35 to 40%, saving India an estimated $17 billion through discounted crude. Because what Russia did, viewers, it was immediately sanctioned, it dropped the price of crude, and India started purchasing from Russia. If Trump were right, those numbers should have collapsed by now. That 35-40% should have come down to 2, 5, 7, 8%. But just September, viewers, last month, Russia was still India's largest supplier at 34% of all imports. All our oil imports, more than a third, were coming from Russia, viewers. State-run refiners cut purchases, this is true, by 45%. But private giants bought 1.2 million barrels per day and more than made up for the cutback by the state oil companies. This means that in October 2025, India will import roughly 1.8 million barrels a day from Russia, which is more than the 1.6 million barrels it imported in September. All these facts don't indicate that Modi has promised to stop the purchase of oil from Russia, that he has in any way compromised with Trump. But while India has exposed Trump and he's failing the fact test, the India bloc is amplifying his lies. Rahul Gandhi has come out with a charge. He says the Prime Minister allows Trump to decide on oil purchases. He goes on to say that the Prime Minister sends congratulatory messages despite snubs from Trump. The reality is that Trump dialed Prime Minister on his birthday and vowed to boost ties. It wasn't the Prime Minister who was wagging his tail. Rahul Gandhi says he cancelled the Finance Minister's visit to America. The reality is that Nirmala Sitharaman cancelled visit after the Pahalgam attack. Viewers. Rahul's charge is that Prime Minister Modi skipped Sharm el-Sheikh summit in Egypt because he's scared of meeting with Modi. The reality is the Prime Minister skipped the meeting. It was strategic to counter Pakistan. It didn't want to be seen on a stage supporting anything that other countries were doing out of blind faith in Trump. Viewers, Rahul Gandhi says that Modi doesn't contradict Trump on Operation Sindoor. The reality is that in Parliament, Prime Minister Modi said Pakistan begged for the ceasefire. Viewers. And he in fact narrated the same sequence to Trump in a telephone call, the transcript of which has been made public and not denied by the United States. Had the India bloc applied some common sense, they would have observed that above and beyond all else, there's Trump's own record which contradicts him. Remember the 25% punitive tariff his administration imposed on India for buying Russian oil? Now, viewers, if Modi had truly promised to stop those imports, wouldn't Washington have rolled the tariff back? It didn't. Those tariffs were imposed precisely because India refused to bend, because under Modi, New Delhi didn't sacrifice national interest to please the United States. India still buys Russian oil, viewers. It's also increasing US imports, but that's diversification, not surrender. We're just going to go wherever we get the best price. It's as simple as that. The question is, has the India bloc so desperate, has it become so desperate that it now needs to piggyback upon the falsehoods peddled by foreign leaders, especially one as habituated to lying like Donald Trump? Viewers, let's open this up. Let's not waste too much time. I want to first bring in the experts to talk a little bit about this. Sushant Sareen, let me ask you a simple and straightforward question. How probable is it? How probable is it? I put out some data. You could say that I'm selectively cherry picking because I know that a lot of people will say that. But how probable is it that Prime Minister Modi would have picked up the phone, spoken to Trump and said, look, I surrender basically our interests. We're not going to buy even a drop more from Russia. Does it even make economic sense? Can you even do it overnight? Can you even give it a timeline? Can you explain to viewers why this is perhaps an improbability? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Look, people need to understand how the oil economics works. India was pretty quick to buy Russian oil, not because we wanted to fuel the war in Ukraine or bail out Russia. We bought Russian oil because we were getting it on the cheap. If the Arab world or other oil producers were giving us oil on the cheap, we would not have gone to the Russians. And by going to the Russians, what we did was we helped stabilize the international markets. Again, that was not by design, but that was the default, which is how things turned out. Because otherwise there would have been a massive oil shortage in the markets. So I think the MEA has made it very clear that we are buying oil from Russia because we get the good price. If tomorrow the oil economics of buying oil from Russia does not work out, we won't buy oil from Russia, we'll buy it from some other supplier. But the Americans can't keep telling us where and from whom we should buy and at what price we should buy our oil. Incidentally, we did succumb to it once when we stopped buying Iranian oil. But this time, I think you have to draw a line in the sand and say that this far and no further, because tomorrow You'll tell us, don't buy oil from Venezuela because I have a problem with them. Don't buy oil from 50 countries because I have a problem with them. Well, I have a problem with you, flirting with Pakistan. Why don't you listen to me at that point of time? So I will keep my options open. I don't mind buying Saudi oil tomorrow if the Saudis are giving me a better deal and the economics of it works out. It's as simple as that. So I don't know what this hullabaloo is all about. People are being rather disingenuous when they keep talking about the kind of stuff they are talking about, especially the leader of opposition. Did he want that the Indian Prime Minister go to Sharm el Sheikh and stand in a line like students and be treated patronizingly, obnoxiously by the American president like all the others were?
Yeah.
All these so-called world leaders from Britain, from France, Pakistan is a third-rate country anyways, but all of these guys were treated so shabbily. Like, who deals with people in this manner? Would
Yes.
they want an Indian Prime Minister to go through that? I'm glad that the Indian Prime Minister, realized and he dodged this bullet. But the fact of the matter remains, you cannot deny the fact that America is a very important market. It's a very important country. But there are limits to how far we can go with them. And finally, the simple fact of the matter is that, look, we want a trade deal.
Yeah.
There are terms and conditions on offer. But I would be extremely wary of, it's okay if we can divert some of our oil purchases to the United States, provided the economics works out. But I don't think this is the time where we should be buying any kind of defense equipment from the United States.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
that's a larger conversation. You're absolutely right about that. I mean, look, we've got, and look, I mean, the fact that we don't have a trade deal 9 months after Trump had begun the negotiation process tells us that obviously we've put our foot down. We've drawn the red lines. It's obvious that we're not surrendering. That's why we still have that 25%.
Allow me a sentence. See, one thing you have to also understand about oil, the composition of oil is extremely critical.
That's true.
There are some there are some refineries which are built to cater only to a particular kind of oil. There
Yes.
are other refineries which can deal with more kinds of oil. Now, if the price, if the Russian price or the other price, the differential reduces, it's not sometimes economical for, say, an oil refiner or an oil company in the state sector, which does not have refineries which can process Russian oil in a more economic manner. So they will divert the oil purchases.
And let me also, on that point, let me also tell our viewers something. In just a few months, and Abhijit Iyer Mitra can bear me out on this, the European Union is going to be imposing sanctions on products, on petroleum products made from Russian oil, even fertilizers. So even a secondary market will shut, and India will have to start looking perhaps for other sources of oils. There'll be a natural flow to that. But I'll come out to you, Abhijit Iyer Mitra, in just 30 seconds. There's also big news breaking that President Trump is actually having a conversation right now with President Putin. He said, I'm speaking to President Putin right now. Abhijit Iyer Mitra, if everything was all hunky-dory in one way, if we had all settled this issue and Putin was obviously quaking in his shoes because he's no longer going to have a market, and that $15-20 billion that he was making off India to make his own weapon systems look impressive and good and blah, 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 and finance his war. If all that was happening, I don't think these conversations would be happening right now at the instance of Trump.
So, look, if India has told Mr. Trump this, I welcome India telling Mr. Trump this. You see, there's nothing like flattering a little bit of Trump's ego. Now, I want you to look at the chart for Russian crude. This is not Brent crude. This is the chart for Russian crude. This is from May and this is from September. You see, the prices of Russian crude spiked enormously.
Yes.
Is why we changed our tack and bought less Russian oil, more Saudi oil or whatever oil. Right? And this is what we do because our purchase of Russian oil is linked to its price being at a certain point. Now, if to massage his ego, you have to tell Trump that, oh, we stopped buying Russian oil, all thanks to you. Very good. Array, this is excellent. In fact, if you remember, I was the one criticizing Jaishankar on your program a few months back for not for not thanking Trump for the ceasefire. I think we should have massaged his ego even then. So now, if I've told him this, I think my personal advice is being taken by the Prime Minister's office. Very, very good. This is an excellent sign. See, this is how you never tell different people different things in international diplomacy.
Yeah.
But you do butter all the people all the time in international diplomacy, because contrary to popular opinion, candy gets you everywhere, sticks get you nowhere. So this is number one, very good. Second, we need to understand, as per the prices, now that the prices of Russian crude have again dropped rock bottom,
Yeah.
our Russian crude will go up again. Let us wait for the October purchase prices to come. फिर दूध का दूध और पानी का पानी हो जाएगा.
Exactly. Judge national interest, viewers, and who's serving it by the decisions that are taken eventually on the economics. Kapil Madan, you should know this better than anyone else. Fine. If tomorrow we have to move away from Russia because the price discount has decreased to the point where the advantage you gain from buying Russian oil is $1, might even still be worth it, but maybe you have to refine it more, this, that, the other, and the cost effectiveness goes, we can go somewhere else. What's the big deal?
So
But
Rahul,
my worry is not that you're applying common sense. Your bosses are not applying common sense in the Congress party. They
Now,
are
let me-
applying the logic and everything and anything that they hear from anybody without even questioning those people. I mean,
So,
look at the kind of crude, viewers, to use the pun, the crude cartoon that has been put out, and I'm going to show it to you, of a quivering Modi. Exactly. I mean, that's the logic Abhijit Iyer Mitra is talking about. A quivering Modi, diminished,
Can I?
You just
dwarfed
can
by
I just
Trump,
quickly-
who is barking from the top, and Modi
just
shaking.
need
That's the kind of, just let's pull it out. Let me ask the director Saab to pull it out. But yes, Kapil Madan, look at the numbers.
Yeah. Let me just
can
give
you
you a
see
very,
there
very
is a
quick
direct
response,
correlation?
Mother.
Yeah, one sec.
We've all seen how our honorable Prime Minister have been making public posturing of his personal equations and relationship with Mr. Trump. I mean, you can't deny that it is there available in the public platform. There was a event at Houston. We did, Namaste.
That was
Trump
7
event
years
in
ago,
India.
6 years ago.
Hold on. 5 years, not 5 years. 2020, Trump was here. But let me just, make my point here. Now, when we have a situation where he is, trying to, make statements which are incorrect, I am with the government, and I'm saying, if Trump is making statements which are incorrect, now is it not? Is it what is apparent from there? What is apparent from there, the public posturing of personal relationship between Mr. Modi and Mr. Trump was all false, or Trump was playing with us. Trump
Listen,
was playing
you're
with Mr.
talking
Modi
about
back
the
then also.
relationship
Hold
between
on,
two
hold on,
individuals that doesn't
hold on,
matter.
hold
It's
on.
the
Yes,
relationship
yes,
between the two
yes. Now,
countries.
great,
Individuals
yes,
are, no,
now-
hang on, just a minute,
Yes,
Mr. Madan,
hold on,
correct me if
hold
I'm
on.
wrong. Correct me
No,
if I'm wrong.
no,
What you're trying to
no.
say is
No.
that if there is a problem with the relationship between Modi and Trump, there's a massive problem. No.
Can I just give you a response? Can I give you? So when Mr. Modi have met Trump as his capacity as Prime Minister of India, I mean they weren't school friends. They were not college friends. They came. They met in their official capacities. And in fact, it was Mr. Modi who made those.
Yeah,
kind
but
of
right
statements,
after
not
that, Mr. Trump lost
Hold
the
on.
election and Modi
Allow me
was
to-
hugging Biden and
so
standing
allow me
with
to-
him and walking
No.
around the stage. I mean, what are you trying to get at? I don't understand.
Rahul, I think I deserve, the same
you
amount
deserve,
of
but I'm
time.
only
Hold
asking
on.
you, Mr.
Hold
Madan,
on, hold
please.
on. You can't, I know, understand that. I understand these facts are a little inconvenient for you. So therefore, I get that, your,
Inconvenient?
anxiety to intervene, but nevertheless, allow me
Okay.
to, finish my point.
Right.
Now, let me respond to Sushant ji here. Sushant ji is absolutely right when he says, we should be looking at our pockets, we should be looking at our national interest. If we are getting something which is cheaper, and if our, citizens, our nations are getting, something at a lesser price, we should go with that. But that's not how, foreign diplomacy work.
Oh,
At
really?
what cost? Hold on. At what cost that has happened? Now, what we have done is it's an example where you're trying to act as penny wise and pound foolish. Now, what has happened thereafter is you do a maths. The sanctions that Trump has imposed has a direct bearing on, lakhs of our, business houses here.
Okay, one
Now,
second. Now,
what
Kapil
you're
Madan,
trying to say
I
is,
understand
hold on,
what you're saying.
Hold on.
That
hold on.
this has
Please
cost one.
control
No,
your
just 1 minute.
anxiety.
You've been
Only for a
speaking now
minute.
for 7 minutes. I
Please,
just
please
want to say
control
one
your
thing.
anxiety
What you're
only for
saying,
a minute.
Mr. Madan, I
Only
understand
for a
what
minute.
I know
No,
what you're saying. I have 4 minutes more on this segment. There
I have
is
not completed.
there is the
I have
Dr.
not,
Sumant
Rahul, I
Raman
have
also
not
coming in.
completed,
Just
so
1
therefore I
second,
can
please.
say with
Kapil
responsibility
Madan,
that
don't
I
get
don't
into
know.
this shouting match. I've got the
Rahul,
point.
I am
Let
not
me ask
shouting.
that question that you're posing.
Rahul, I am not
Arey
shouting.
bhai.
All I am saying is I am not
Rahul.
finished as yet. So therefore,
What is the
any
point
kind
you're
of
making? Can you
intervention
make
here-
the point quickly?
The point I'm trying to make here is that
Yes.
you tried to bought, oil which was cheaper at that point in time. But there were, certain risks that came along with that, and you can't deny the fact that our relationship with US
Okay.
have,
Has gone down the drain. So we messed up. So
And
Modi, by buying
not only
cheap
that,
oil, has messed
not
up.
only
Now, okay,
that.
now you're done. Now let me
Not
just bring
only
in
that,
Dr. Raman.
Rahul.
Dr. Raman, would you like to add to this point? Can you explain why Sushant Sareen and Ayyar Mitra and everybody else is wrong? Can you please explain?
No, I think they gave a very eloquent exposition, except Donald Trump made yesterday. The MEA note today did not explicitly state or answer that question. So the bottom line is now, if we are buying Russian oil and we are benefiting from it, at least there is some logic in standing up and saying that we
Kapil
are
Madan
facing the
doesn't think
sanctions.
so.
If we have not bought and we are still facing sanctions, then I mean, what does one make of that situation?
so
now, my
these are all
point is,
ifs.
why no, why is it not informed to the public through a statement? Whether see, the point is very clear. India will do what is in India's best interest.
Yeah.
Nobody has an objection to that.
So then-
but are we continuing to buy or are we not?
Bhai,
I mean,
if it
is
makes sense, we will buy. If it doesn't make sense, we won't
no,
buy.
but if
what?
it makes sense, are we buy? Have we bought? Okay, let me rephrase.
Sir, what
the
difference does
question.
it make? As
Have
long
we-
as you
Yes,
and I don't
because
feel
here
the
is
pinch.
a man, here is the American president saying that we have stopped.
Okay, so
And we
here
are
is
about to give
here is a
that.
response to that. October futures, sir. October is not over. Today is not even the middle of the
Rahul,
month. No, please listen to me. By
It
the
is
end of the month,
simplest- It takes a minute to
Sir,
put out a statement
sir,
saying that
sir,
India
sir,
has reduced
sir,
its and there was a media report a month and a half back.
Trump
which
said that. Trump said, and please listen to me. Listen to the sequence. Trump says that I was told today, hey, am I allowed to break the news? He says, I was told today by Modi that I am no longer buying Russian oil. I was told today by Modi. So today,
why
he,
is it?
so
why
listen,
is it that the government has not told the
it
Indian
has,
people?
sir. It has just come out and said, I played the bite, that there was no conversation with Modi today.
Not conversation, Rahul. The
Bhai-
question is, look, whether they spoke directly to each other or not.
No,
the
but he's
bottom line
saying
is,
so.
have we stopped buying
Why is
Russian oil?
Trump lying about the call?
Arey,
If
let
there was
him-
no call,
let
there was
us-
no
let
call.
us-
Have the Americans contradicted and said, no, there was a call? No, sir.
No.
The point.
No, my point
kya?
is, Rahul, have we stopped buying Russian oil? Why is
No,
it so
sir, we
difficult
haven't.
to
The
answer
data
that
I've
one
shown you. Can you please show the data
No,
again,
you
please?
haven't. Please
I've just
put out
shown
the
you the
data.
data, sir, for
No.
October. The
The
futures
MEA did not
buys.
say that. The MEA statement did not
Arey,
say
sir,
that.
it's in the marketplace. The governments release the facts. It's on their websites. The oil
Okay.
purchasing companies have purchased Russian oil. Yes, albeit a reduced amount, but companies like
Quantity
Reliance.
has drastically come down.
Sir, but-
that is what the media
Sir,
report
but
said earlier.
Reliance and others, other big oil marketing private companies have picked up.
PSU government companies have
Yes, sir,
drastically reduced.
because they are buying now from the. Don't you know where they are buying from? Sir, they are buying from Middle East.
Absolutely.
Even though
Middle East
numbers
was
are here, I'll tell you what the numbers are of that.
Actually, the Middle East was actually making producing oil even a year ago.
So let
a year and a
me
half
tell
ago,
you,
2 years
let me
ago.
tell you,
They didn't
viewers.
start
Here are the
producing
facts.
last month.
You see, you can't skin the cat. You see, I'm just going to show you, viewers. Here is the number. Russia remains the top supplier. These are numbers: 34%, Iraq 18%, Saudi Arabia around 12%, UAE 10%, and US 6.3%. At one time, US was 15%. Anyhow, Sushant Sareen, could you please respond very quickly to this gentleman Mr. Madan, who has said that by buying Russian oil, we have sacrificed the interests of a huge number of businesses. Clearly, has not even read the front page of the Times of India today or any other newspaper, which shows that China and others have bought a lot more products from us, which has neutralized the impact of these sanctions to a great and vast extent, and that the UK deal is giving us much more headroom and elbow room. Could you please explain these things to this gentleman?
I don't think I can explain anything to him because he's coming from a place where he doesn't want anything to be explained. But let me give you another analogy, hypothetical, but it has happened in other countries. Let us imagine a situation where the Chinese tourism in India was running into maybe a few million, 5, 6, 10 million Chinese tourists who actually travel in these numbers, right? And an entire infrastructure and an entire industry was built to cater to Chinese tourists. And everybody, I'm sure even Mr. Madan knows, that tourism produces the maximum number of jobs for every rupee invested. Now, if after 5 years, when this entire ecosystem for Chinese tourists is built, the Chinese tell us that either you give me Tawang or my tourists will stop coming, which means that you will lose 50 lakh jobs or they'll be in jeopardy. Should we give Tawang? Because so many people will lose their jobs.
According to Mr. Madan, yes.
Should we give Leh, Ladakh? Because so many people will lose their jobs. Is that the logic Mr. Madan is trying to sell to us? So the point is that you deal in an economy and in a globalized economy, you deal on the basis of price, on the basis of certainty, and there will be certain risks attached to any decision which you make in any industry or any other thing. Right?
I mean, if Trump can lie and he doesn't care about the India relationship, if he doesn't care about the India relationship, why should the onus only be on Modi to steer it to safer shores? Let Trump do some of the walking and the talking. No, but he hasn't, viewers. He's constantly disregarded, undercut India constantly. He slapped you with a 25% penalty. He could have put that on. He could have put that on China. He could have put that on the European Union. He could have put that on Japan. But he hasn't, viewers. So he's willing to risk ties. But we must do chamchagiri. Anyhow, viewers, we're going to move on because there's another big story. There's an please.
Another example.
Okay,
so just now, you see that the Chinese have imposed certain restrictions on rare earths, right? They've come up with some plan.
Yes.
Now, the Americans are hurting. What are the Americans telling us? You stick with, and we have negotiated our own deal with the Chinese for rare earths coming to India. What are the Americans telling us? Now they're saying that you must stand with the free world and you must harm your own economy so that the Americans can prosper. Does Mr. Madan suggest that we damage our own industry and not take the supplies from the Chinese right now?
Anyhow, I think this.
Respond. I think he's posed two questions to me, and Rahul, I should get opportunity to respond. So I feel sorry for the sense of comprehension that Mr. Sushant Sareen has, and I feel equally sorry about the students of whatever organization he has. Let me just give you an example of what I said. What I said was, let's say for an example, if you're buying a Russian oil, you're saving 100 rupees, but by way of sanctions, you're being hurted far more than 100 rupees. That's the point, simple point that I was trying to make, which I think it's very complicated.
That is what Sushant Sareen was responding to by giving an example. In fact, he was saying that you would be harmed even more. Sir, आपने उनकी बात नहीं सुनी. ठीक है, चलो, let's move on. Viewers, in any case, viewers, the sanctions, and these are figures that have been put out by the government, and people can go to court and sue the government if they don't agree with them. They've already told you that there has been an offset. China and other countries have stepped in to buy some of our products, including the Middle East. So all those exports that were supposed to go to the United States that had begun to pinch us because of the extra tariff and cess, and the losses accrued have been offset by the purchases, by imports from China and other countries, viewers. So there is no net devastating loss. There has been a little bit of a loss, but we are working around it. I think that's that we can take on our chin. We're a big enough economy, especially when it comes to ensuring that our farmers and other important constituents of our nation are not bombarded by a one-sided trade deal, viewers, brokered by this man, Trump. Think about it. Let's move on. because this is an important story, viewers.